Gauri and Balki, we are really, really grateful and thankful for flying in from Mumbai, especially for us.
Thank you.
Thank you. May I call upon Abhaji to present a trophy, a small memento, and a green certificate to Gauri. At Flow, we do not believe in giving cut flowers. Instead, we plant trees in your name.
Thank you.
Thank you. May I call upon past President Namita Gautamji to felicitate Balki by presenting him with a trophy and a green certificate.
Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May I call Nina Malhotra ji, a past president, to present a small token of appreciation to Anil Rai Gupta ji. Thank you. And now, friends, without much ado, I would like to invite Vasvi Bharatram, President Flo, to give our welcome address and opening remarks.
Thank you, Sangeeta. In the words of Mary Lou Cook, creativity is inventing, experimenting, growing, taking risks, breaking rules, making mistakes, but most importantly, having fun. Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to our esteemed panelists, R. Balakrishnan, Gauri Shinde, and Anil Rai Gupta, my friends from Flow and by Flow, ladies and gentlemen. Creativity is the key to a better life and a better world. A creative mind is full of magic. Imagination and innovation are the keys to unlocking that magic. It's not always easy to tap into the invisible, use the unseen, and create the imaginable, something new. However, there is a creative force inside every human being that can make any vision, dream, or desire a reality. Today, Flow is proud to present two exceptionally versatile creative minds. With their thoughts and sheer passion, they have created a world of powerful storytelling, stunning imagery, and thought-provoking dreams. The powerhouse couple, R. Balki and Gauri Shinde, have shown us that when you have talent, there are no limitations where it can be applied. And virtually the whole world is your canvas to create a masterpiece. Whether it is the 30-second world of ads or the Bollywood box office. Hence, ad shads to Films-Shilms. These two have individually and together created some of the most iconic ads and spearheaded many critically acclaimed and breakthrough movies like Pa, Cheeni Kam, English Winglish, and Dear Zindagi. A very warm welcome to the Ki and Ka of the celluloid world. This very exciting session will be moderated by my dear friend Anil Rai Gupta, the chairman and managing director of Havells, one of the largest makers of industrial and household products. Havells has 11 state-of-the-art factories and sells its products in 50 countries all over the world. Anil did his MBA from Wake Forest University, North Carolina, and I'm very proud to share with you that this summer he was invited back to Wake Forest University, his alma mater, who awarded him with an honorary doctorate and invited him to give the commencement speech to the graduating batch of 2017. A great honor indeed. He has also recently been awarded the All India Management Association's Emerging Business Leader Award 2017. Congratulations. A man of many talents, Anil plays golf, is a fitness enthusiast, a fantastic singer. He sings really sad songs from really old movies, but he sings them very well. And he has recently...
You should have heard this. I sing sad songs.
Only sad songs. He has also recently written a book on his father, Shrikimat Rai Gupta, where he shares the leadership lessons that he learned working under his father's tutelage, which are still his touchstone when taking any major decisions. It's a great management book, ladies, if any of you would like to read it. But in spite of his numerous talents, awards, and his absolutely meteoric business success, Anil continues to be one of the most down-to-earth, genuine human beings and a great friend. I cannot thank you enough for all the time and effort and thought that you and Sangeeta have put into my flow here. I'm really lucky to have friends like you. And now, before I get any more emotional, I'd like to end by saying that Havells is known for their very out-of-the-box, socially sensitive and responsible advertising campaigns. Balki has had a very large role to play in creating the awareness of the Havells brand in the minds of the Indian public. Anil and Balki are a perfect example of how when vision and creativity work hand in hand, true magic can be created. Over to you, Anil. Thank you.
There is a magic when you are surrounded by people who have made a difference and are passionate about what all they do. It's an honor for me to present to you an amazing couple who both started their careers in advertising, who helped create powerful and iconic brands, who continue to dabble in their passion of filmmaking, and then finally completely switched over to their passion, to producing and directing full-length feature films. It's not easy for a rank outsider to get into a very, very tight and well-guarded industry. And I'm sure they must have had their share of challenges. We'll know more about this from them. Please welcome the director duo who have glorified some intriguing roles and characters that each one of us can relate to. From Power to English, they have grabbed eyeballs with their path-breaking moments. Friends, I welcome my dear friends R Balki and Gauri Shinde. When we thought of advertising for Havells, a name came to me, Balki, who was chairman of Lintas at that time, no Lintas. And when I approached him, he said to me one thing, which sometimes keeps me awake even till today. He said, Anil, you really make some boring products. And hence, we'll make some interesting ads for you. A month later, he came back with some creative ideas. Unfortunately, our head of advertising rejected it. Balki insisted that I should meet him. And when I met him, something clicked. He presented a story which reminded me of a story which I had read in school, Eidgah by Munshi Premchand. Maybe some of you may have read that story. And still, there was a lot of debate internally whether we should present that ad or not, because my advertising person felt that we will show a construction site, we'll show the product in a little bit for a lower category. Balki was very confused, and then to convince me, he said it will be directed by a very, very famous director, ad maker. He's recently newly married by Gauri Shinde. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the ad created history. The ad created history. It's remembered by most of the people today. I'll present to you two ads, another sequel of that ad as well. The first one was conceptualized by Balki and directed by Gauri. The second one, Balki directed and Gauri acted in it. Can we have a show? Say that boring category became a consumer product in very small number of years, I would say, a couple of years only. Balki, let me start with you. Your major working life has been in advertising. Alik Padamsi founded Lintas. You had big shoes to fill. I think your career spanned about more than 25 years in advertising. How do you think advertising has changed since when you started it? I mean, I'm sure there must have been very less number of brands, much less crowded. Was it much simpler?
I think it was only as simple as far as one thing was concerned, that people didn't use so much of jargon. We at least understood what they were trying to say a few times. Today it's all about, you're wondering where people are saying things rather than what people are saying. So most of the discussions about where, before the discussion used to be what. And they're two completely different things which happen. As far as the first question is concerned, actually, there was a big gap between Alec and me. There was Prem in between. There was Prem Mehta in between. So I think advertising was seeing a kind of there were days of Alec and there were days of Justin and there were days of those guys and Mani. there was a dip till actually Piyush got into Ogilvy, then I got into Low, then there was a new generation of advertising that was coming up. So there was a lull in between after the Alec time. We were nearly about 8-9 years of a lull in advertising. So then the whole thing started again. So it was a very difficult journey because advertising has become a lot of, dictated by people who had nothing to do with creating them. So there were a lot of rules formed by people who actually had no clue what they were saying. They thought that businesses and ads could be built on relationships, could be built on presentations, could be built on something else. They would come, they would present strategies without having a clue of how strategies have to be executed. So there was a lot of that going on in advertising till finally people saw sense and said that let's talk what we want to see. It's very simple, and it came down to some basics. So I think that nothing much has changed from then to now. But I think actually you took and a few other people took a lot more risks before than people are taking now. People, I think, are more scared today than ever before in taking risks for a very simple reason, because they're all worried about who's seeing what. So they're forgetting, let's at least put a safe one and kind of let's figure out where they're seeing. Let's not be out of the box. This out of the box has become not a good word to use today. It's all in the box today. So it's strange. I think it's very, very similar to our country. As we should be going into the future, we have regressed a lot in our thought. I think so has kind of so is it true for advertising.
But creativity requires for you to go out of the box many times, right? So if you try to constrain creativity within the box, creativity to some extent gets hampered, right?
Yeah, I think the very definition of the very fun of creativity, or whatever you call it, because I don't understand the term of creativity, only because I feel that it's all about figuring out what most people haven't connected as yet. It's just an accident. It's a lot of accidents which keep happening, of course. Those are cliches, but I'm just saying that it's just connecting a few things which haven't been connected before. And it's necessary only because people are seeing so many things. There are so many interesting things to watch. There's so many programs, there's so many movies, there's so many interesting people to meet, there's so many places to eat. Why would you watch your ad? It's necessary even to just be noticed. You need to be different. You just need to be kind of interesting. And that's the only purpose of creativity, to just be noticed.
So it has become different over the last 20 or 30 years in the sense that you need to grab attention of the consumer. Earlier there was, one medium, Doordarshan, Farishta Ki Been Baji, it was, we had to watch that. Still Farishta Ki Been Baji. But there's so many mediums today, you have to be far more creative than what you used to be earlier, right?
I think that it's not the medium. I think, like, take Havells, for example. I think you decided to have the most creative strategy where all the people were like big players were spending money like nothing under the sun, advertising all over. You chose cricket and decided to focus on cricket so effectively that just by being there consistently, you actually were perceived as a much bigger brand than a lot of people. But just by choosing something which is so focused with your, I think it's all about just kind of focusing. Even today, even there are so many mediums, I don't think it's about getting lost in the mediums, but just preserving the message. Today, it's all the more necessary to be cutting edge and completely different, because there is just so many more interesting things to watch. That's all.
Interesting. But you've been so long in advertising. From the outside, advertising looks very glamorous. How do you balance this creativity with economics? As people are running businesses and you're making creative ads for them. How do you balance both of these objectives?
I think the two of the biggest myths are advertising glamorous and feature filmmaking is glamorous. Both are actually worse than the worst labor in the world. It's almost like I see documentaries of coal mines and this thing. I really empathize with them. I have never gone inside a coal mine, but I feel I've always been there. Whenever I shoot a film, every time I just wish, how can anybody function like this? In some of the worst conditions we shoot, we are making do with a lot of things. It's hot. It's this thing. All this comfort, glamour, and everything else is a myth. It's very good important. It has to be a myth, because otherwise people are not going to aspire to kind of come into that. Thank God it's a myth. But trust me, the truth is very different. And advertising especially, I can tell you, is zero. Where is the glam? What glamour? We all have always been wondering. Ever since I walked in advertising, where is the glamour? I don't understand where the glamour is, which is there because somebody is firing you, somebody is threatening to sack you, somebody is threatening to cut money. Where is the glamour? Somebody is always rejecting your ad. Somebody is saying. So I've always wondered. I used to come to Havells a lot of time just to kind of feel nice and say, yeah, somebody is kind of really making you feel nice because it's a very funny industry where you're living. A thought is only as good as what the other person makes it out to be. A thought can be rejected in a flash and accepted in a flash. So to just preserve that thought and live with that insecurity every day of who's going to buy it, who's not going to buy it, and of it having to come almost like a slot machine. You put a coin and the thought has to come, and that is at the mercy of somebody else. So that's it's a process that you learn to live with unkindness, and you are so happy with even the smallest gesture of kindness. So it is a very, very lonely profession in a lot of ways.
Well, we don't think like that, but maybe what you're saying is right. You're speaking with experience. But again, way back in 2007 when we first met, you were contemplating to make your first movie, Chini Kama, maybe late 2006. How did this change started happening? I mean, what brought you from advertising to films?
Actually, I didn't even know what advertising was. I always wanted to kind of make feature films. I actually joined advertising thinking it was a feature film company. Because I thought Ramesh Sippy actually owned Mudra because it used to come at the end of every Bunyad episode. So I thought he owned Mudra. So when Mudra sent out an ad long back, I thought Ramesh Sippy was asking for people. So I got conned into this thing called advertising, saying that, wait, just live with me for 2-3 years, then I'll take you to meet Ramesh Sippy, was what my dear friend told me. And he has conned me. After 14 years, I met Ramesh Sippy and I told him that you are the biggest culprit in the world because you have got conned. And therefore, even this, what happens in advertising is, what I started liking is, since I didn't have any formal training in in filmmaking, I have learned so much in the job. And I just believe that it's all about telling stories, whether short, long. So I've told so many stories, and the big difference between feature film and advertising. And I keep saying this to a lot of people. You're damn lucky to be advertising because feature film, you're going with a story and saying buy, 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 buy. And you're seeing who's going to have the suitcase of money. In advertising, a lot of people with suitcase say give. It's a big kind of a thing. A person is asking for ideas. There a person is desperate to give ideas. It's a completely different. So obviously when somebody is asking for ideas, why would I go to the road and say buy, buy, buy? So I got addicted for many, many years to advertising and a very, very cushy life. Till one day, I was stuck for an ad. I was sitting in a room and I was sitting with my creative director and we were doing a Lifebuoy campaign, I still remember, and we were not able to crack it, and I had gone to the loo to take leave. Then I came back and said, actually I have an idea. He said, what presentation? I said, no, I have an idea for the film, for feature film. Then I said, 1 minute. So I just went and messaged Amitji and he said, yeah, let's meet. And that's all that happened. I don't know what happened. Lifebuoy was, I also cracked the Lifebuoy ad exactly 2 hours after that. After I sent the message, because sometimes you get the rush of energy and you kind of do that. That's exactly what happened as far as feature film is concerned.
So before that, it was not that you had planned to get into feature films.
No, I always wanted to, but I was doing so many films in advertising. So we used to do about 150, 160 films a year, and that is a lot. And you're telling different stories and different ideas. I never missed feature films. I never missed it at all. I was very, very happy doing it.
Very people say that your first film, English English, was inspired by your own story. Did you get into films to tell this story to the world? Because you were also in ads, making ads. Or was it a hidden dream which was there for quite some time? To make films?
No, it wasn't really, because in the era I was growing up in the 90s, none of the films were, it weren't inspiring at all. In fact, it didn't even feel like this is something I'd like to do. So actually advertising is my first love. I just it's funny. It happened the other way around. When I was in my 12th standard, I wanted to do something like a summer job. So I nagged my dad. Kuch to karna hai. He was worried till I'll land up in some burger joint selling burgers. So he got me an internship in Pune. So that was my first taste of. So as a trainee, I was there for 2 months, and then even along with my college, I actually did a part time in some other advertising agency. And I have this nervous energy and I had to do something with my extra time and stuff like that. So yeah, it's actually through advertising that then I thought, and then I saw him make a feature. And then actually, when I saw him make a feature, it scared me. I'm like, shit, this is like really hard work. I'm like, there's no way I can do this. Really like real emotional and like all kinds of stamina. But and I had decided that until I really get an idea that's worth living with for 2 years, because I saw what kind of labor it is, I won't do it. And it just happened.
But it is inspired by some of your own story? Or?
No, not really my own story. It's, I mean, this thought is, I mean, this is how my mom is. She has not met this French man, unfortunately, like in English. But, so yeah, she would have wished. But no, so it's from there, and I think a lot of my aunts or neighbors, or whatever, and you know, this whole discomfort with this language and thinking that you know that is the key to being cool or you know being accepted. So that thought emerged from there. It's not. Yes, she also had her own business with spices and stuff, but that's where the similarity kind of ends.
When there are films that focus a lot on feminism, you gave a very different feel to it. It was not usual for Bollywood. And then you brought a star, which was, you know, a very loved star, but not really into the groove at that time. Did you think that you were taking to do this for your first movie?
I didn't realize that I was taking a risk until everybody was saying no to making the film. So, like nobody wanted to like really, when we like set out and we were like, who will make this thing, who will produce, who will put in money, and to have a middle-aged woman in a sari, no glam, no item number, no nothing, didn't seem like a great subject for anyone to.
And for a first movie.
And first, and I'm coming from nowhere, so I have no. Not on my resume, there's nothing except advertising. So yeah, so also, you know, nobody wanted to really believe. And at some point I was also asked like on the condition of, oh, but it's Sridevi, so why don't you make her dance? You know, and they should get, I'm like, there's no, so they wanted to make her dance. Very much. So, no, but I wanted to make, I said I make the film the way I want to make it, otherwise I'm not making it. So that, I was very clear about that. Yoga to IC yoga. So that's when actually we realized that all doors were closing on us. I said, let's, like Balki said, meet me to do film. This film is worth making and we should produce it.
Balki, your first film, Chini Kam, was no less a bold move in itself. I mean, you know, it was a risky business proposition. Did you think that you were pushing the sensitivities of the Indian audience too far?
I had no idea of the Indian audience, so therefore, you know, this is another thing, Anil, I've always admired when people say with so much conviction that I understand the audience, especially around advertising. People will come and tell us that, you know, I understand this group, I understand this particular section of society, I understand the women of small towns or big towns or colleges or whatever. Fundamentally, I've always believed in all my years of advertising, I don't understand a soul. Because I don't think I've ever done anything for another person. I've done things only for myself, and I happen to be normal, like a lot of people, so they happen to like it. It is not that I understood their psyche and how they were thinking and what they were doing, and I planted a chip with my thought inside their brain so it would work. It's not possible. Nobody can understand anybody else. It's a big faff. It's a big thing. And people present consumer studies, and I'm shocked. When did you meet them? Do you know yourself? How dare you study 200 other people when you have no clue about yourself? So this fascinates me. So therefore, when I did Chini Kam, I was absolutely oblivious to the fact who is the Indian consumer, who it is. I thought it was God's gift to mankind always. So I just did what I wanted to do. I know, you know, the one thing I think all people who are insecure about their idea, because it's not a business. I don't have a factory. I don't have something else. What you're talking is, what you think is what you have. It's your product. So you live in an insecure world, and that the only way to protect yourself in an insecure world is to have a big ego and a lot of arrogance. Because I don't think you can protect yourself. And I hate people saying, he's so brilliant, but he's so humble. I think it's a big mistake. Anybody who's that kind of big and he's not humble, he's just being decent. Okay, the difference between humility and decency. So I again believe Chikama approached the same kind of just decency and with a lot of internal arguments. I just wrote what I wanted to write, and there happened to be one man who liked what I happened to write, and he was possibly the only person I knew in Bollywood, because I had done an ad with him. One of his first ads after he came back from his big sabbatical was Parker Pens. So that was the first ad that I did with him, and we'd known each other just in terms of this thing and news level. But I then messaged him with an ad. I was always been a great fan of his. Who is not? So I had one line idea. I said, if you like it, I'll write it. He said, write it. These were his 3 instructions, write it. So I wrote the film and I gave it. And this is for him and Tabu. I wrote it with the 2 of them. If they hadn't done it, I wouldn't have done the film. So she said, yeah, I'm very excited. And then I gave him the script. He read it. He said, yeah, okay, let's do it. So, okay. Then we shot the film. He's very completely non-communicative. So he's like this. I love that because I don't have to say anything. I can understand whatever I want to understand. At the end of the film, he sees the film. He says, yeah, if I knew this was like this, maybe I'll put in a little more work. Okay, let's release it. This is the only 3 sentences I've spoken to actually during the film. It was such a beautiful process because especially when you're working with somebody who has been your idol all your life, it's a dream for anybody. And I was working with both the people who I was a big fan of, both Tabu and Bachchan. So it was fabulous for me.
But it's very interesting that you said this, especially in advertising. You have to go to the corporates. These very sort of creative market research people. If you're listening to that in your mind bullshit, what do you say to yourself? I mean, from your talks, it looks like as if you really considered all of that as bullshit.
Yeah, I did. No, because no, I don't consider. See, you tend to understand. I'm trying here at any point in time when I take a brief. I always like to listen to a person's brief, only because some things are not in the paper. You can sense a person's vision. You can sense a person's dream, not by the words he uses, but by the desire, the way he communicates, what he's trying to say, not by the correctness of things, by the few wrong words that he uses. You know, and it's fabulous. I'll give you small examples. I've never listened to presentations and this thing. There was one toothpaste I remember, Unilever. It was a variation of Pepsodent or something. So there was a marketing head. Long back, he'd come to our office and he had put this toothpaste, various things, various charts. And there were charts all across that conference room. Look at it, it's like NASA, spaceship is being launched out there. And there were discussions of toothpaste and atoms and molecules and that and this and all. Any meeting that lasts more than half an hour is not a meeting. Okay, it's like a duck. So it's a chai session meant to chai. So after half an hour, you cannot be focusing on molecules and this thing. I'm not an R&D guy, I'm not a scientist. So I just stopped. They were discussing deep things. They believed they'd cracked something and I thumped it. I just stopped and said, they took out the toothpaste. This is a damn toothpaste. I don't know what toothpaste I'm brushing with in the morning. Okay, it's that kind of such a low involvement product. Don't give a product more respect than it deserves because you'll get your ideas wrong. Always, because for manufacturers and companies, I think the clever companies are one which know how to make superior products, but give it the kind of, they laugh at it as much as the consumer does. Give it the same attention in terms of seriousness to the way it's communicated, the way it is. Just they understand the consumer really well because they are human beings. They themselves are, like for example, we were discussing this whole thing on wires. Well, I have not seen what wire is going into my wall. So if you advertise it, why would I? If you tell me all kinds of scientific things about a wire, something I'm not interested in, why would I want to know the ingredients of something I'm not interested in? So it's that kind of a thing. So, but for him, it's a serious business. But he had the audacity to say, I know what people think of me as a product. And you approach it with the same sensitivity the consumer does, then you have something happening.
Gauri, what about you? I'm sure you have attended a lot of such corporate meetings with very creative marketing managers. What do you think about it when they start acting as if they know it all? And creative people like you, how do you handle that? Just by smiling like you smile all the time?
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes, yeah, that's helpful. I don't know, my my attention span is quite low. So after about, and if the topic is not of interest, so my mind starts wandering, but maybe my face is still there. I don't know actually, nobody's really doing it, but I feel it's transparent. So I try hard to keep the performance. But then, yeah, because see, as a director, as an action director, you are actually like the third. These guys are in the agency, they're the creative directors. They make the ad, they write the ad. So they are like the third ingredient. There's not that kind of power to change things like an agency and a client, between them. So it is, for me, it is at the stage of a PPA. And luckily now, I mean, PPM is a pre-production meeting.
Pre-production meeting. So
Which
just
have-
before the ad making, they would come to the corporate and then they would discuss how they would make it.
Sometimes they do go completely off the mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it takes like
I
that.
hope Harold's was not like that.
No, never. That's
Well, let's move a little bit away from the ad world to the film world. Nepotism has become too controversial a word, so I'll not use it today. Let's talk about Bhai Bhatijawad in the film industry.
It just is.
It's the same thing. Did it ever occur to you that you are complete outsiders in this industry and there are banners in the film industry that you have to be a part of to be successful? You were successful right from the very beginning. How difficult was it to enter into this industry without any tags, without any banners?
Sorry?
I don't know, he got there first.
So nepotism.
There is a bit of nepotism. So in that sense, yes. But I don't know. I think for me, advertising sort of helped because that's where my background is. So your training is there. But yeah, too. I think it came in also I came in at a time when I think things were more not really, but things were also not being accepted before. So no, it was. I mean, I don't know. I think it's tough until you prove yourself. So it is tough till something is successful. And it's only then that.
Okay, what is your take on this?
No, I think it's like an industry like most industries, they celebrate success. It's very simple. And there can be camps, there can be a lot of things, there are hell of a lot of things, but all camps form around successful people. It's very straight. You have a big camp. Moment you have a successful person, 5 fellows will come around saying, I want to be with you, I want to be with you. So the only thing that will change, but to achieve that, I think, of course, you need you need something very, very interesting to start with, and more importantly, then you need lots of luck. Because you don't know who you're meeting, what you're doing, what the opportunity. There are some brilliant people out there who haven't had a chance to make their first film. And it's not getting any easier. So I think it's a lot of luck too. But it's once you have all that, I don't think it's tough to survive in the industry because camps are just fun. There are no great things which stop you from doing things.
But the business of films, both of you are very creative people. But filmmaking is as much business as it is creativity. How do you think you've become businessmen while making films?
I think all people at the heart of it, if somebody says, I'm going to take somebody's 20 crores and just blow it in the wind like that, beautiful, I feel lovely. I get nirvana when I blow people's money like that. They're mad. They need to be shut up. They'll be locked up. But I just believe fundamentally you've got a responsibility as any artist. If somebody's investing in it, it's your job to make sure he doesn't lose money. It's as simple as that. Economics is all about have some common sense of how much you spend. What is the ballpark recovery? If the person recovers a lot more money, good luck. If the person doesn't recover a lot more money, you are being very stupid economically. So we all have some understanding of what to spend for what kind of a film and how much can it really make realistically. I think we have that common sense. And anytime we go out of that equation by saying we are pure artists and we have to spend the money if you want to create something, we fall flat on our face.
Sometimes, when I say that anyone who can manage a household budget can also manage a business.
Absolutely.
So you know what you are earning and what you have to spend. So is that what?
Yeah, because I don't have any formal education in business. All I understand is this is the money I have. I must, if I earn less than this, I have no business to spend this. That's all I know.
What, Gauri, what is the difference, as Vasvi just mentioned, that you're making 30-second commercial, 60-second commercial, and you have to make a 2-hour, 2.5-hour film, with or without songs or dances? What stark difference do you find? Both are, examples of creativity. So what is the difference that you had to get in yourself? When you were making
Mostly stamina. That is really the main difference. It's like, I mean, I've had fun making both. And of course, feature film is a different trip altogether because it's something that you have ideated, you have thought of, and then you're seeing this whole thing, like, come alive. Of course, every day on the set, when you wake up, I think like, why didn't I just open a boutique or something? Why do I have to go with a shoot? So you question this because you wake up at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. and have this goal, and the minute you're on set, there's a adrenaline rush that you feel and you just somehow go. So that kind of, like with advertising, it's fun anyway.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I still feel nervous
in
shooting.
advertising, you're telling a story in 30 seconds. The same story that you're telling in a film is 2 hours. You really have to switch your minds when doing both.
Not really, because I think even in a feature, the scenes actually get divided in that. So actually, 30 seconds teaches you how to be, brief and how to like make sense in every scene. You can't just indulge and have a scene that doesn't make sense and as there's no what do you say, sort of this sense. So it's not pushing the script forward. So with the 30 seconds, they can do this.
Well, I think, Balki, you talked about Amitabh Bachchan. Both of you had superstars in the movies. You had Amitabh Bachchan in the first 2 movies, Raw and Chili Khan. You had Shah Rukh Khan in Dears and Me. I remember when you used to come to Havells, or I used to come to you, you always said that your product should be the hero rather than the celebrity. How do you, explain this difference? You've taken superstars. Normally, first-time directors or new directors, and they avoid these superstars for their reviews. How do you explain this?
See, I think there's no point in taking a star or a superstar if you don't do full justice. In a feature film, when I say product should be the hero, it's the script which is the hero, it's the story which is the hero. You need a story that can do justice to the superstar or the actor, and the actor can do phenomenal justice to the story because people finally are coming, even the biggest stars are all discovering today that people will reject it if the story is not fine, if the product is not good enough. They're not going to come and see it for the star. So you have to put the story about everything else, the product about everything else. In advertising, more and more important that we all understand that these celebrities are no longer exclusive. They are no longer as if mythical species. People see them hour after hour, second after second. So it doesn't guarantee any success if you just show them. Your idea has to be the core. Your product is at the core of it. Like I remember when we did Rajesh Khanna. Remember, it's one of those really fascinating ads of mine, which is strange because I was not such a great fan of his, and Anil and I discussed this at some point, and in fact, as I was saying it also, he was also kind of taken aback, but whenever he hears something like that, immediately says, okay, if it's disturbing me, there's something damn good about this whole thing. So we spent about 4 or 5 months debating this, and Rajesh Khanna, we discovered, had a few more months to live or something like that at that time, because if he took longer time to decide, then we wouldn't have an idea. So actually, I went to Rajesh Khanna and I told him the script of saying that, this is a satire on you. I'm not paying you tribute. I'm actually going to make fun of you. And I explained the script to him of how, all his fans have gone, and but he's not talking about all those fans. I always have all these fans, okay? And the fact of the matter, telling a superstar like that, that, you don't have any fans. You know what he told me? And a lot of people hated me for this ad, and hated Anil too. And the jury was out. It was one of those ads that had a completely divided audience. Okay, the people who really understood the cut-throughness, there were very purists who hated the ad. saying all of this rubbish and you can't do this kind of crap and everything. And I love it when people hate an ad, because I think not only that, there is a reaction. There are too many ads, too many people are scared to be hated. So they do politically correct nice things so that at least even if they don't love it, nobody will hate it. That's a waste, because advertising is all about getting noticed. And you only get noticed only if you're superb or it's very bad. There are only two ways you get noticed. Okay? So I really believe anybody who says an ad is nice, you're dead. That's an ad should not be ad. It only says that nobody will give you galis on Twitter, nobody will give you galis on this thing, so nobody will lose their jobs in each of the companies, so everybody is safeguarding various things. It's the most ineffective thing. We learned that Rajesh Khanna, because he told me when he heard it, Rajesh Khanna told me that, he says, what is the point of being a star if one can't laugh at oneself? You think I don't know what you're doing. I was zapped. I became a fan of his that day. He was phenomenal. I spent some time with him. It was like he couldn't even move. We shot that whole film in half an hour. Because that's all he could stand. He came from hospital with his drips. We had to remove his drips for exactly 10 minutes. I was telling him, why do you want to shoot like this? Let's not shoot it. I was not forcing him to shoot. I was told,
he twisted his ankle as well.
Yes, twisted his ankle. He'd fallen in the bathroom with drips. And I didn't know that he had cancer at that point in time. The idea was quite serious. He had drips. And I told him, let's cancel the shoot. You don't need to do it. It's an ad. It's perfectly okay. We don't need to do it. He says, no, I want to do it. So he came to Bangalore. An ambulance brought him from the aircraft to the set in Bangalore. There was a stadium only in Bangalore. And he took it out. He came there. He did something. Half an hour is all he could stand after he was collapsing. So in half an hour, we did whatever we could with him. And he was like so happy, to do this. So I wanted, I think Anil and I both wanted Amit ji to be in the stadium. And when he says, Babu Mashai, I'll always have fun. So, and I also went and told Amit saying that, why don't you pay tribute to him? Because we've been kind of such long legends. He had an even better statement. He said, no, it's his film. He should do it. I am nobody to kind of pay tribute to him. He's far bigger than I ever will be. Finished. So he felt that paying tribute to him would actually be insulting him. He wanted to keep the legendary status of him alive, which sometimes though when you touch people and what they really feel about each other and how they feel, all these public perceptions that are created about stars and everything else, there's some very evolved human beings out there who are playing a different game for the public, but they are actually very, very lovely evolved human beings, all of them.
And it was the first and only ad done by Rajesh Khanna. Everybody knows he passed away a few months later. And as he rightly said, we didn't know he had cancer at that time. But he did the ad, and what a great idea. And that was the first time Balki recommended a celebrity to us. And I said, Balki, you don't recommend celebrities. He says, no, this is not about a celebrity. This is a story which fits into Rajesh Khanna only, nobody else. Great, that was a great ad. I loved that ad.
Yeah, I loved it. It's one of my favorite ads,
Do we have a copy of that ad on YouTube if possible?
I'm sure I will.
Just check.
It's possibly the only ad which will have millions of likes and will have millions of dislikes. Normally they tweak all the ads. That time we didn't manipulate all these likes and all that. Today you can.
But at least it helped the sales of our brands.
Yeah, it was the most. No, I really think we discovered the power of being talked about first. We said there is no point in having an ad that's not talked about. That's not discussed. That's not debated. It's always all good ads have worked like that. And because most industries, what happened when he spoke about having a camp in the feature film industry or anybody else, most creative people and most industries have a template of what is good. They all have definitions of what is creative, what's a good film, what's a good ad. The moment you break it, it takes some time for even the most experienced and most competent people in the industry to react to it. It's coming from left field. Is it good or is it bad? Is that thin line? You don't know. If it's celebrated, if it works, because people don't have all those thoughts. They either like it or don't like it. They're not judging what should be good and what should be bad. The moment people start liking it, all these people start seeing a new picture in the industry. So again, the industry is just dependent on success and what people say. It's got nothing to do with people in the industry.
So, remaining on celebrities, you had both Amitabh Bachchan and Abhishek Bachchan in the next movie, Pop. How did that happen?
Because that was I started with a disaster. I'll tell you what the disaster was. This is the joke. Anil, you would never have allowed me to make a single ad if you had known this. I had, this was for Maruti Suzuki, there was a campaign we're doing. And Versa. And they had shown me the car was not ready. And like all advertising people, we believe that we don't need to see the product, we can kind of do whatever we want. Imagination is much better. So one of those things, but funnily enough, something kept bothering me. They kept showing me a picture. There was a bigger car. It looked huge. And I said, are you sure this is lovely? Yeah, this is looking super beautiful. And I said, okay, fine. So we had this whole thought of two cars in one. For India is all about space. It's two cars. And we said two cars in one means, let's sign up Amitabh Bachchan and Abhishek Bachchan. The client very excited. They had already signed on Amitabh for something else. So let's sign on both. So it'd be like two cars in one. It was Abhishek's early years, so there was a lot of fun to see father and son. So we land up with the shoot. I still haven't seen the car. The director has not seen the car. The DOP has not seen the car. Because Maruti has not delivered the car. So we are in Lonavala. And the first shot was Amitabh in the lawn sitting and reading a newspaper. And Abhishek supposed to be riding in the car. So Abhishek has seen the car coming up the hill. Maruti's brought one service guys, all these fellows, because the first piece, only one piece was available. It was not ready. And they had a launch conference on it, so they need to get the film ready for the launch conference before the cars were ready. So one piece was ready. So the car was coming up there. Abhishek goes like that. He was looking from some vantage point there, and he was signaling to me. I don't know what was he trying to do. I had no idea. So I said, come on, get do. So I was saying, get on the shot. And I saw the phone. So I thought, most people, he'll get in the car and drive in. Let's do a rehearsal. So we're damn late. So I didn't even turn to see the car. Imagine the first shot is that I have not seen the product. So shot on, Abhishek drives in the car. And I was focusing on Bachchan, because I'm a great fan of Bachchan. I'm focusing on whatever he drives, whatever product, Maruti, Versa, all their problem. So he's coming from there. This is what. I didn't even look like this, okay? So the car comes in. Actually, this is the truth. There's no fiction. Only two people who know about Maruti and me. So the car comes and stops. Okay? I see the car. Bachchan sees the car. He turns around. He's supposed to say some dialogue. He just turned around and says, what is that piece of shit that you got there, man? And I saw it, same line, I go, I died. Because it was not two cars in one. It was not even half a car in two. It was not even something else. It was all the wrong concept. It was maybe it had got superb engineering. Maybe Versa was a superb car. Maybe some of you have Versa. I'm very sorry to offend you. But that concept, that ad, I should have stopped that second. I should have made Amitji go home, Abhishek go home, and say bye to everybody. Stopped it. I think the brand would have survived. But and funnily enough, ad was done, everything, everybody continued celebrating it till the ad was released. We celebrated also. I was really, my stomach was churning every time because it was the most dishonest piece of rubbish that I've ever done. It's so wrong to do that. So that was the day I learned how much you can get away with advertising if people just support. If I had a little bit of luck and people also saw, suppose there was an eclipse and people, saw this car was extended like that in their dreams or whatever, and I think, so I would have survived just like that. My luck, and I would have become I would have learned to ride my luck. It didn't happen. They fall flat on your face and then say, oh shit, you relearn again.
So that's how you had to make that.
That's, when I did PA was the reason, because that experience is very, very clear in my head. So I always wanted to kind of do something with the two of them. And one day I saw the two of them chatting. Amitji was playing the fool and Abhishek was behaving like a very serious wise man, which he is not. And neither is Amitji kind of, playing the fool. He's also much more serious than that. So they were playing different roles. I said, what is that? This guy's behaving like him and this guy's behaving like him. So one day we should find something. So the reason PA started was how to switch roles. I found a real life reason later, but I found it like that. Because no point.
Is the son and he's the
Yeah.
Right. Lovely. So last question. on, before we move on to the next round, which is the more interesting part. You always said that I don't like to go to award ceremonies, at least for advertising. What is your take on, everybody want to know, what is your take on award ceremonies in films? Because they're supposed to be all great, right? Okay, so
No, I'll tell you. They're even worse than advertising. I don't go to any award shows, even in the feature films, except for one, which Amitji forced me to come for Pa, when he was winning the best actor. I've never won an award. I hate those ceremonies, only because they're very boring. I wish they were rigged better so they'd end faster. That's one thing. And you give it fast and finish it, because it's such a TV program and it's. But it makes no sense. It has no effect on people. People just watch. It anyway happens much after the film is released, so it has no impact on box office. And people have so many award shows, people don't even remember which one at where. So the rigging is happening, but like advertising. Nobody cares what one at. Somebody says it won at Cannes, but a client asks him, but I've never seen this ad. How did you win at Cannes? So there are lots of things like that happen. So these awards are just the good ones, are good with or without the awards.
And both of them have won many awards, national awards for past, so that's a great achievement. English also won many awards.
And that was my first year, so it would
Best debut actor.
So it would look really arrogant or not nice to not really go, and that's actually until you know what it is, you discover.
It's all for the TV audience.
Yeah, actually, I went to a lot of awards because of her. Because I've never got a single award in my life. She got all of it. So I had to see, and both of us saw how it was year after.
Yeah, the functioning of it, and then you see what the real thing is.
Well, before we move on to the next round, should we just show a clip of that?
Oh, the
Rajesh
Rajesh
Khanna, I think
The volume you need, because his voice is very low.
फैंस क्या होते हैं मुझसे पूछो प्यार का वो तूफान मोहब्बत की वो आंधी वो जज्बा वो जुनून हवा बदल सकती है लेकिन फैन हमेशा मेरे रहेंगे बाबू मुशाहिद मेरे फैंस मुझसे कोई नहीं छीन सकता
There is actually a thing from Amitabh Bachchan. He says Babu Mushai, that's what he called him in Anil. Babu Mushai, mere fans मुझसे कोई नहीं छीन सकता. Actually, Amitabh Bachchan stole away all his fans. Right?
Yeah.
So thanks, guys. You've done a lot of justice to everything that you've done for the industry. Some quick questions for you, because there are so many questions I can't ask within the time allotted to me. So we'll have a rapid fire round, like very much like the current river style.
This is much better than the current Johor one. This looks much better. I don't know, and I know from the shape of the hamper who it's going to already. It's rigged.
So unlike Karan Johar, I will not decide. The audience will decide who it will go to. Although it will go to the same house with.
I know. I love the majority in the audience. I know where it's going.
So this is a round which I call the grilled round. So I'll be grilling you a bit.
Okay.
Gauri, we'll start with you. Very quick answers. Don't take too much time. Otherwise, the audience will decide that the hamper will go to him. So if you were not a filmmaker, what would you have been?
Traveler.
Traveler. Okay. Your go-to person.
Cats.
Cats. A big rank.
My cat.
Cats.
Not any cat.
Rank the three films: Pa, Chini Kam, and Shamitab.
Exactly.
Pa, Chini Kam, and Shamitab. Lovely. Audience response or critics reviews?
Both.
You want both of them. If you were to be a businessman in life, what would you do business on?
Animal shelter.
Animal shelter. That's an animal shelter. Do you remember Balki's first act?
Malki's first time. I was like, no.
Okay, I'll take that. Worst critique review for you.
Worst critic review. Like a real one.
For you.
Mine. See how traumatized I am already thinking about it. I think one of the reviews videos in the
Yes, in yeah. On Twitter, on movie, or
journalist.
Yeah. If not Sridevi for English, who would you have in your option?
Nobody.
Nobody. You would have only done it with.
Having like forget the script. Can't imagine it.
For your next movie, Deepika, Priyanka, or Anushka?
But these are the choices they have.
Thank you very much, Gauri. Thank you very much. Big hand for Gauri. But I forgot one. Balki at home, a critique or a beautiful husband?
Critique at home.
A critique at home.
Critique
Or a beautiful husband?
critique of film.
Yeah, your critique or is he a beautiful husband?
Both.
How can that be possible? Teach me that, Balki. Being a critique and being a beautiful husband. I don't see that happening.
It's a split personality.
It's the first
We'll
time.
talk about it later.
This is the first time I'm hearing it, so good.
Okay, great. Balki, for you now. If you were not a filmmaker, what would you have?
Commentator.
Commentator. Cricket?
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely.
Already prepped to answer this.
Your go-to person?
Myself.
Great. Rank the three films. Pa, Chinikam or Shamita?
English.
That's a beautiful answer.
No, it's not a beautiful answer. I genuinely believe it. I think it's one of the finest films made in this country.
For this, I would give you the hamper. Audience response or critic review?
Audience.
If you were to be a businessman in life, what would you be?
I'd
Bakery.
bakery. I love baking.
Working with Gauri, fun or stressful?
Stress.
Do you remember Gauri's first ad? You were much older.
I do. No, I wasn't much older. I got into advertising when she was playing the fool. I was working very hard. So therefore, I just have been in advertising much longer. Yes, she did her first ad, I think, with me. I'm not sure. It's called Matching with Fair and Lovely. There was an ad.
lovely.
Matching. And yeah, I do. Because I also wrote it.
Worst critique review for you?
Worst?
Critique review.
All of them. I mean, there's so many people who slammed me for Chinika. I stopped reading reviews after Khalid Mohammed he had some problem with Bachchan, I think, at the time. He just ripped my film apart, and I thought I was India's answer to whatever, Woody Allen and so and so and so and so. And he's telling me I shouldn't even be looking at a camera, I shouldn't tear the film apart. Okay, then till people started loving it and everything. So I never pay attention to reviews. People say a lot of things.
If not Amitabh or Bob, who would have been your option?
No chance. You can't do it. And not only Amitabh, if not Abhishek and Amitabh, I could not have done Pa.
For your next movie, Shah Rukh, Aamir or Salman?
Akshay is doing it.
I mean, after that.
Amitabh.
Amitabh, that's not one of the options though.
Oh,
Shah Rukh, Salman or Aamir? So basically you're saying you don't want to make a film with them.
not like that. Because if I start thinking of a film for them right now, then I'll be quite old by the time I start doing it. So therefore, I think I'd rather kind of be more practical.
Got the answer. Ladies, Gauri and Gauri Shinde R, a big hand. So now you have to decide who
Yay! I love women. Oh, come. It's all yours. That's very nice. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's so pretty. So it's going to her.
Great, thank you everybody for being part of this. Now I believe we can open for a few questions from the audience. Yeah, please.
From the advertising world, how do you convey the message? Most of the time, a client or an owner or a founder of a company is sitting in the final meeting, and you're not able to convey what or how you strategize, especially brand architecture. How do you convey that to the client? Such a tough thing to do.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I've always felt that
Sergi, the cast wall, numbers, and everybody should have a number, not a name, so there won't be any cast swap problem. They're not seeing right. It was not in the advertising format. So they were obviously scared, telecom operators. But how do you tell a person who's not from the communication business, but holds the right to decide what is right for his brand, at the same time is entrusting you to tell him what's right for the brand? You have a dual responsibility to make sure that you give him what's right for the brand and make sure he doesn't himself come in the way. But of course, if you anger him, he can get you out of the way and be bad for him. Most of the time, I believe a client should not lose me because it's bad for him. Okay, I think it's best to approach it like that, because the moment you approach it from the business point of view, then you start making all kinds of compromises in doing this. So you do it like that. The second one about these germs and things like that. There are some people who just believe, I think they have fantasies about gutter water. They have fantasies about molecules in a shampoo. They have fantasies about all these issues. They live and breathe and die. I don't know why people actually think that they can scare people and they can do these kind of things. And one of the very first ads I did when I came to Vintas Bombay was a thing called Surf Excel. Surf Excel है ना, Dag Akshay का previous avatar, the one avatar before that. But the brief given to me by Hindustani, when the first time meeting Hindustani, we were in Bombay, on legendary people from both agencies and the client side are working on this heritage brand called Surf, which for years they have said, first year they said it removes 12 out of 20 stains. New improved Surf, 14 out of 22 stains. New improved Surf, 16 out of 23 stains. So this kept on happening. Finally, did my master said, Balki, fantastic. We was very, very glad that you are in Bombay. So we want to brief you on the next project. Please come. Then go there. Say, we have cracked this revolution, new formula. It does this, attacks the dirt from left hand side, right hand side, top, this thing. It creates 17 out of 25 stains it takes. So I asked him a very simple question. I said, what are the 17 stains and what are the 25 that human beings are supposed to know, and what are the 17 dishwashing powder? They could not cross 10. Fundamentally, they could not name 10 distinctive stains because it isn't. So I told them, you yourself don't know what this is. Just what these numbers, which are going on saying big, just say it can remove anything. No. Very simply just say, whatever your dirt Surf Excel hai na, just say it. No. Why do you want to keep quantifying this thing, quantifying this rubbish? It never struck them that can be bigger than the numbers. Because numbers, somebody dreams those kind of things, 102%, 104%, how can that be 104%? Logically it's nonsense. They can never be a thing like 104%. So these are things which are, we have to break it and they have to see, like today if you tell Unilever 7 out of 10 or something, they laugh. They have a good joking system about their heritage also.
So that's a Surf Excel.
Surf Excel started like that.
okay, but in a world of filmmaking in India, there is a tendency for people to plagiarize a lot of stories from the West. Where, as both of your filmmakers, have you found that the copied story has exceeded the original in films? Or copied product has been better than the original. I'm going to say Devta.
Yeah, you're talking of?
I'm saying, in Hindi films, normally we take an idea from the West. We try to do our own little spin on it. Sometimes we take ideas from our own heritage of films and then we make a new product. Where have you felt that the copy has been better?
See, it's wrong. I'm sure there are instances. I'm sure some have been illegally copied, some have been legitimately copied with copyrights. But Javed Saab once said a fantastic thing. Today, Salim Javed, I say great writer. Javed Akhtar. Sorry. I mean, he just called them like that. Sorry. He told me a simple thing. And this you will notice a lot in R.D. Burman's music. Today, we tend to know what all is being copied. In those days, what we think are classics, what we think are phenomenal new original creations, and we say cinema was so pure, songs were so melodious. Almost 75% of them have been lifted. How many things have been put together? Because we didn't have access to what was being copied. There are a lot of R.D. Burman songs. Today you hear the hardcore replicas of melodies which you've heard. And there are films. Javed Sir used to laugh and say, Javed Akhtar used to laugh and say, those days we had the knack of seeing 4 films at the same time, which nobody in India had seen. So if you put those 4 films, you get a new film. We survived in an era where people didn't see the films that we saw. It's a great thing. So you can never really say copied and not copied, which is better. I'm sure even in the West there are adaptations which Hollywood does of French films, somebody else does of European films. So adaptations are going. As long as it's a legitimate adaptation and people who created it make money out of that stuff, I'm good at it.
Any favorite?
I think Homeland is a great example of a series that's been adapted from the Israeli series, which actually is better than the Israeli series apparently.
This was
West Wing?
No, House of Cards, sir.
House of Cards is better than the British version. The US version is far better than the British version.
Two such creative people are couple. So what happened when husband and wife are in the same profession? How many glasses break in the house?
Always keep doubles.
I'm not saying how many glasses break or how many glasses break on my head. It's a big difference. Quite a few. A glass a day keeps it okay.
Want to know about years in it. Where did you get this idea from? It was such a beautiful movie, and you have touched a very important issue of it. And what next? Where is it going on?
I love it when people actually say years in the lead, because it's with English figures. So this is closer to my heart actually, this film. It may not have been as popular as English. So, no, I think this topic has been very close to my heart, and how to put it in an interesting way without it coming across as some gyan giving was kind of a challenge. But I think it actually came from this idea of a young girl struggling with thing, which is something I think also is personal. I mean, it's personal to so many people of that age. Exactly like a woman in English is so universal. Like so many women feel like that. It may not be about just English, but it was about self-esteem. So English for me was about your self-esteem and self-worth, not so much about English. And same way, Years in the is about finding your own ways, and knowing that despite the imperfections, you find something perfect within it. So, and therapy is something that I feel deeply about, and I thought this was a topic that we need to start speaking about. Though it didn't start as a social cause, and I don't like to start anything with a social cause.
I feel it has the same impact as studies. issue of women.
What's next for you?
This is what I
No, but you start with the idea of always like you want to write something interesting and that's entertaining. I think that's the first objective of film. And then by and by something else. Next, I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Gauri.
Excuse me, I have a question. Yeah, I have a question.
I was told that you have to stick with
I have a question for Gauri ma'am.
Just
Yes,
out
one.
of our time, but
Come.
just one last two questions. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I have a question for Gauri ma'am. For me, English for English is the most amazing movie I've ever seen so far. And I have a question regarding the movie. What was the basic inspiration to start off that film, and why did you choose Sri Devi to be the?
I already answered that.
I want to know. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah. What are your views on censorship in media and film industry?
Same as yours. We don't want censorship. We shouldn't be. I think we are all adults and we know what to do. The more censorship there is, not just in film or anything, the more we ban, the more actually creating. Yes, we are just opening up reasons for rebellion.
Okay. One last question, please.
Hi.
Question for both of you. Since both of you come from the advertising world, you must be aware of this series called Mad Men. So, some of the people that I have talked to, they say that Mad Men can be considered as one of the TV literature formats. So, do you think that it was able to bring about the world of advertising on the television in its entirety?
It was also set in the 1950s.
Correct.
So yes, and I don't think that kind of glamour. Nobody can drink whiskey in the offices. I wish it was possible. So it is far more.
They used to,
Yeah.
here also before.
Yeah. So but then like when I came, this didn't really exist, but it had. I mean, I've heard stories of this being this cool world of advertising. Yeah. So I think it was quite authentic to that era.
It's a series that I've never watched actually, because I watched a bit of it, 3-4 episodes. Very strange because when you work in advertising 24/7, you don't want to entertain yourself with the same room again. So I found it a very painful experience to watch Mad Men. It's the only series that I've not been hooked to because I'm a binge watcher. I watch everything under the sun. And specifically, I've never wanted to revisit and watch Mad Men. Because I think I've lived that life. Not so happily like they are, sadly, I don't know what they do, but because I've not seen it. But it seemed too familiar.
And so, how's work going on PadMan?
Done. I'm just editing it right now.
All the best.
Thank you so much.
So thank you, Balki. Thank you, Gauri. Thank you so much. And now it is my pleasure to propose the vote of thanks for the excellent session we had today with the stalwarts from the advertising and entertainment industry, Balki and Gauri. As Edward de Bono, a psychologist, inventor, and author, had said, creativity involves breaking out of established patterns in order to look at things in a different way. True indeed, and be it Pa, Chini Kam, Shamitabh, English Winglish, Dear Zindagi, the brilliant creativity of Balki and Gauri is clearly evident with out-of-box subjects and characters. They are the ones who have breathed life in these characters and bravely created room for their lead stars to move beyond their trademark images. A huge round of applause for them, please. Thank you, Balki and Gauri, for coming all the way from Mumbai and giving us your valuable time. I am sure today's session was an inspiration to most of us to move us beyond our conventional school of thought and pursue our passions vehemently. It is not every day that I get to thank my husband. Here I will take the opportunity to thank Anil Rai Gupta for beautifully moderating the session. You were excellent. I'll tell you later on what could have been better.
I'll
tell you later on what could have been better.
The last one repeat.
She said she'll tell me later how it could have been better.
That's for your best.
a big thank you to our annual sponsors, TNT Motors, Luggett, and Ardenox, for believing in us. We are grateful to our past presidents, who are always there to encourage and guide us. My sincere thanks to the friends from media who are there today with us. And last but not the least, a big thank you to all of you for making our sessions so meaningful and interactive. Thank you.
Yeah.